Big thanks to the sponsor of this week's podcast, Now, where you can watch The Last of Us streaming every single Monday. In fact, there was an Unreal episode on yesterday featuring Nick Offerman as the survivalist Bill, making a very strong case for the old Doomsday Prepper game, you know. Oh my God, I hope the world doesn't end. I realized this morning how comfortable I am. I was sitting there, right, and it was January, and I was eating mango for breakfast, watching Dune on my phone. And I'm like, this is how much more cushy could I have it? Please don't everyone die. But look, thanks very much for sponsoring this podcast. And now, on with the show.
It's Tony Cantwell Shitshow. And I know that the show is Tony Cantwell Shitshow. And I know, yeah.
Hey, on the UTV. How's things? How are you doing? I tell you how my day started. I have a bit of vomit on my leg. I found a bit of baby puke on my leg. That's how my day started. I was thinking, oh, is that chalk? Is that a bit of chalk? Maybe I was like, nope, that's puke. And I'm walking around with it, and you can see it. All right? I'm kind of like G.G. Allen, like that. Just fucking bit of puke on me. He's kind of the G.G. Allen of dads. Why is that? Because he's a hard-rocking, influential punk. No, because he got a bit of vomit on his leg. Yeah. Of all the things, I've already done this. I've ranked the things in order: pee, poop, vomit, blood, semen. In order preference. I've talked about this already, right? So you already know what I'd most of all of them. If I had to have something on my leg, what I'd have on my leg, right? And reader, you won't believe what's number one. It's piss. And so I got a bit of vomit on my leg. But that's just fine. I'm in this kind of hazy phase right now. And that's just the kind of, it's kind of this, you know, new parent or new baby glow, right? Where everything's a big fog, you know, and you're kind of on a boat. But you can see the light. You can see the light. It's faint. It's faint. And it's just a bit of fog. But you just got to trust the process that the light is getting a bit bigger, right? And the fog is clearing. And then before you know it, there's a gorgeous siren on the rock calling you, beckoning you to get you out of the fog. And that she is the muse as well. But I'm not in that right now. I beat myself up a lot when Sonny was born. Why am I doing that? Why am I in the process of getting a Golden Globe? Because you have poop on your hand right now. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's just what you're in. So, what I am doing, based on a suggestion from associate producer of this very pod, Ben Clifford, he said, Tony, do you know what? You're always wanting to give life advice. How about you tell people how they can break their habits, right? You know, I have, as you know, I have a kind of a food habit, right? I have all the habits, right? I smoke when I drink, right? I drink like a very thirsty man when I'm excited. That's a habit. I pick at my face, right? I pick at my mustache quite a lot. That's why I trim down my beard, right? I tittle myself. I'm very tactile, right? If there's a habit, I got it, right? But I, a lot of the time, can't give myself the advice that I would give someone else. So allow me to live vicariously through you and break your habits, mate. I'm going to be like Bane, and your habit will be the bat. And I will break him on my knee, break his back, make him humble. So I've read a lot of books about habits, right? I have downloaded habit apps, Habit Hat. Oh, I get that now, Habit Hat. That's good. That's funny because they wear a habit. Anyway, look, I've read a lot of books on habits. I've listened to hundreds of hours of Tony Robbins. I've listened to Brian Tracy. I've read Zig Ziglar. I have read, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, right? I've read Atomic Habits by James Clear. I have read The Power of Habits by Charles Duhigg. Right, that's his name. Sounds like Palpatine saying do it. Duhigg. Right? I've read all that. What have I implemented? I would say fucking 1%, mate. I am the 1% of I have diluted all of that into like 1%. I walk around with a general idea. I try and stay positive about work, right? I try and stay positive, and I try and visualize things. I try and just take actionable steps on things, book something in advance before it's ready. You know what I mean? So I kind of like do some of this shit, right? But I'm very good at telling other people what they should do. Do I apply? Do I do it? No. I don't even brush my teeth the same time every day, right? I don't. I brush my teeth, and then maybe half an hour later, I might put deodorant on. Do you know what I mean? Like mad shit. I shower, honestly, at a completely different time every 2 days. A completely different time. Not even within 2 hours. It might be, 10 a.m. one morning, right? It might be then, 9 p.m. another day. All fucking over the place. But I'm in the fog. Right? And I can see the light. So I'm all over the place with my habits. So take what I'm saying with a little pinch of salt, right? Of sal, as they say in España, right? So I'm going to help you. I'm going to give you maybe some radical things you can do, and then something a bit more realistic that I've also learned on my journey in my travels of becoming a professional habit breaker. But here are some. And I'm going to keep you guys anonymous. I'm going to start with an easy one here, right? I was going to say their name, and I immediately forgot that I was going to keep these anonymous. One says, forgetting people's birthdays. Please, Tony, help me. Okay, this is what you do, right? Darren Brown had a technique for memory, okay? And the technique was, when you're trying to memorize someone's name, you meet the person, okay? Maybe their name is Gary, okay? Gary. And they say, hi, I'm Tony. And I have a bad habit, right, of when I meet someone, I'm so preoccupied of how I'm making my name sound because I want it to sound good coming out my mouth that when they tell me their name, doesn't even go in because I'm so focused on, say it, Tony, Hey, my name's Tony. I'm like, how am I going to sound? Because I kind of live in my own kind of like main character fantasy all the time, right? So I find it hard to actually speak to people and even communicate on a level with anyone else other than myself because of my ego, right? But when someone meets me and they say, hi, my name's Gary, he says, say it again out loud, Gary. Gary. Because the first step is actually trying to just remember. I know this isn't the question that you asked, but I'm going to relate this technique to the birthday thing, right? So you say Gary, right? Then you think of someone you know with that same name, right? So Gary, Ash's rival from Pokemon, and I project them onto you in a split second, right? As easy as I can. And then I have to picture the new Gary and Pokemon Gary either in a very violent or sexy situation, right? So maybe Pokemon Gary is putting a little Pokeball, playing with your little Pokeballs, right? This Gary jocks you, Gary, and starts playing with your little Pokeballs, right? That's what I see. And then I'm like, oh, fuck, how would I ever forget that guy's called Gary, right? That would be the situation in that. And I would always remember. Say if it's Gary's birthday, right? And you know that it is on the 22nd of July, right? So 2/2, right? And then July would be like on a hot month, the hottest month, right? So whatever you would relate to July, which would be, for me, the hottest month, okay? I would picture your mate in a fucking tutu on the beach, sweating in a real sexy way. Your mate, even if they're a dude. Hopefully if they're a dude. I would never objectify a woman like that in my mind, right? So, another one, maybe like 16, you might just think the movie 16 Candles, right? Molly Ringwald kissing your man over the cake, right? Maybe you're kissing your mate over the cake in 16 Candles. And then whatever, September, 9/11's happening in the background. All right? So if it's the 16th of September, you're kissing your mate over a cake with 16 candles on it from the movie 16 Candles. And outside the window, and I can't believe you're not reacting to this, but for some reason you're not, the second tower has been hit. Try it, okay? Before you knock it, try it. Or get a fucking calendar, you clown. Just get a fucking calendar and write down the calendar, right? I'm surprised how few people actually, if you don't have a reason to do it, like, I suppose if you just go to work and you come home from work, there's no reason for you to have a fucking calendar, right? But if there's a way of integrating if it really, really matters to you, then when someone tells you their birthday, just try and remember to write it down, right? And you're not going to remember that, right? It's David Allen from Getting Things Done says that ideas, so the brain is for having ideas, not for storing information, right? So you need to have some sort of exterior system for memorizing stuff. And the best way to do that would probably be to have Google Calendar, which is free. Facebook used to remind you of all this stuff, and that was great. You were on Facebook every day. Now that's kind of gone. So if it's really important to you, find the birthdays, migrate them over, or go through like a group WhatsApp when people have said happy birthday. And then the ones that are the most important, just put them in a little calendar, or just set annual. You can send annual email reminders to yourself to let you know that kind of stuff. There are tech ways to do it. I can't stop eating sausage rolls from the Spar Deli, bro. Bro, I feel you. I feel you. I love you. I see you. I see you. Okay? I get it. And you know what? I know. Most of the time, are they even fucking good? And you probably walk by, and if it's a good day, you look like they're fresh, and you're like, oh, today's a good day. And then you're like, on the other days, you look at them, and they look like shite, but you're going to get them anyway. And that's a bad day. That's a bad day when you're looking at them, and they're like, it's all fucking crust. And you're like checking yourself, seeing if there's any fucking crumbs on you. I see you. And I love you. Okay? So let's think. Sausage roll. You need to be repulsed by sausage rolls. Okay? And I don't know if this is a thing where do you know what you might have to do? How much are you willing to spend on breaking this habit? Okay, let's say if you're buying a sausage roll, if you're spending €2 a day on sausage rolls, all right, 700 quid. No, it's not. I mean, what are you cutting weekends out? How many weekdays are there? Say it's 500 quid, right? 500 quid on sausage rolls a day. Would you be willing to spend 500 quid to stop eating the sausage rolls? Now, keep in mind, you're going to be banking that 500 quid after you take this step. Okay, so it's a one-time purchase of 500 quid. You need to go on Done Deal, and you need to try and find a gigolo, right? An old gigolo, an old man, some lad who's been in the game for a long time, not a good-looking guy, not like Richard Gere. And you need to have him, and I'm sorry about this, you're going to have to ask him to wrap some pastry around his lad, his Johnson, right? And have him come over to the gaff, pay him 500 quid, have him wrap pastry around his Johnson, his Willie, right? And have his little nib sticking at the top of the pastry, okay? And you have to kiss that. You have to kiss that. Because I tell you, when you feel the cold touch of his foreskin on a bit of your lip, you'll never eat a fucking sausage roll again. Okay, now that's the mad one, right? But I promise you never have a sausage roll again if you saw the little nib, right, in there, right? Or maybe you're into it. Maybe all of a sudden now you can't eat anything but sausage rolls. But like I used to love eating steak Diane. My mom would make me the steak Diane. She'd buy this little homemade steak Diane, reheat it in the oven, right? And I used to eat it all the time. Then one time I got sick steak Diane on my jacket, and I couldn't clean it off the jacket. And something about the image of the steak Diane kind of mashed into the kind of stretchy, kind of like waist of my bomber jacket. I'll never eat steak Diane again. So something like that. Maybe mine was a bit drastic. Maybe mine was a bit extreme. But maybe something like that. Do you know what I mean? Or what you could do, go somewhere else. Go to a different shop. Look, if you're like I'm hooked on McDonald's, right? When I drop my young fella to his granny's sometimes, right? There's a McDonald's there. I know that when I pull out that drive, right? If I go right, I'm heading towards McDonald's. If I go left out that drive, I'm not going near the McDonald's, okay? And sometimes I fool myself. I'm just going to go right and just go around that way, right? If I'm turning right, at the impetus of the idea of going to the McDonald's, it needs to be snuffed out. At the impetus of the action, it needs to be stopped. It's the same way that an affair begins with the text. It doesn't begin the suggestion to meet up. It doesn't begin. It doesn't happen when you go to a room with someone. It doesn't go. You know, you're not fucking stupid. You know what I mean? You know where things are going if you ever do it, right? If you ever take a step in the direction of something, right? It's going to be much harder to pivot out of it, right? So same with sausage rolls. You might have to just go to Centra or go somewhere else. You know, if you work in Spar, I don't know your whole story, then you might just have to get the old lad to put his fucking cock in some pastry. Next. Wanking when on board. Okay. Look, I asked for habits. There's some raunchy stuff in here, okay? Look, I understand where you're coming from, Anonymous, who I actually know who you are, you dirty fucker, right? Wanking when you're bored. Look, T. Davis had his phases, you know? I've fapped. Okay? In fact, when I moved to Dublin and was still working remotely to a London office, a fellow sales manager was like, so look, best of luck. And the last thing he said to me was, and please don't wank the company away, And I almost did. I touched the void, right? Because everything's there for you, right? But here's my wild idea, all right? Have a big wank. What? I'm trying to stop wanking. You tell me to have a big wank? Have a big wank, right? A big planned wank on a Friday. No, do you know what? Wednesday. Wanking Wednesdays, okay? Phone's on silent, right? You already know. You've already done maybe a bit of kind of curatorial work about what you're going to watch, right? You've bought new pajamas, all right? You've got like elaborate lube, right? Elaborate lube, okay? And so you know that on the Monday and Tuesday, you're like, I won't because it's coming up on Wednesday, right? And then you probably will hopefully be spent on Thursday, Friday. Maybe have another one lined up on Sunday, saucy Sundays, Get that when you can enjoy that kind of morning wood. You know what I mean? I'm sorry if this has been a bit graphic or whatever. It is being very graphic. I'm sorry about this. But this is what I would say. I would plan a big, elaborate wank. Don't have a wank be an afterthought. Make it special. And know that you need the reserves for it to be good. And that way, you're just not, spouting dust. Do you know what I mean? With the greatest respect. You don't be spouting dust every day, You want to remember what it is. You're a fertile little young fella. Come on. And I know it's going to sound fucking creepy. But come on. Remember having a fucking wank when you were 17. Oh, you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Just feel young again. Know that by doing this, you're going to feel young, rejuvenated. Let's get those fucking bollocks working overtime. Come on. You remember those fucking wanks you had when you were 17? Right? Go back to that. You're still young. And you still got something to offer when it comes to wanking. Right? So know that. Have a big, elaborate wank on a Wednesday, every Wednesday. Right? And obviously I know you, I won't text you on Wednesdays. And maybe spice it up. Maybe remember what you got into the game. Maybe you need to remember what you got into the game. Like put something on that you maybe have. Watch fucking Species. Watch the flick Species. And like rewind and fast forward past the bits just to get to the good bits. You know what I mean? Back when you were hungry for the game. Back when you were fucking hungry for the game, what were you doing? This is like when Rocky goes back, and starts punching meat, beating meat in the freezer. That's what you need to do. Get back in the fucking game. Remember what you got in this game. Try and watch an old episode of Eurotrash, right? Try watch Christina Aguilera's Dirty. Remember why you fell in love with this awful habit. You remember why you got into it. Make it special, Maybe, play some music that you listened to when you were 17. I got your picture, I'm coming with you, dear Maria, count me in. You know what I mean? Or whatever you feel. I might have outed you now because of your emo-ness. But, and that's the elaborate idea, right? The other idea is you are anxious. You're anxious. That's why you wank. You are anxious. You wank because you're anxious. And it's a way of maintaining control in a situation of something that you know exactly what. It's a predictable outcome, and it's a predictable feeling, and it's everything in your control at that moment. It is a way of you, and you do, shut things out and focus directly on the act for a moment. And you're addicted to that. So, like Louis C.K. had this thing where he was on Mark Maron. I mean, he's a fucking champion. He's a notorious wanker, right? And he was on Mark Maron and he told this story about how he was like feeling, he always had this anxious and this anxiety, and he would just like do things. Like he would go and just like he bought like this tuba or this saxophone, right? Big ornate saxophone that he spent like, a few months' wages on. And then he was feeling really anxious about buying the saxophone, and he went to a nudie booth to jerk off. This is gross. I'm sorry, this is gross, right? We went to a nudie booth, and he spunked on the case of the saxophone. And he realized then after wanking, he's like, if I had just come here first, I would have saved like $3,000, And his therapist then afterwards told him, like, you do that because you're anxious, So I would look at seeing that you're about to do it. Take a breath. Get up from whatever the situation is. Go for a walk. Go outside. Walk around. Shock your system. Change the environment that you're in, because the environment is also triggering for you. If it also tends to happen at a certain time of day, Also, I would say when you're doing the special wank, do it in your bedroom. You know what I mean? Bring it all back to the bedroom. Put the projector on the wall and make it a big elaborate thing. Candles, music, the movie Species. But in general, maybe just take a breath. Got one here. Ripping the skin off my fingies. Ripping the skin off your fingers. Okay. I see you. I think that's cool. You're cool. I like it. Okay. Ripping the skin off your kind of like cuticles, like when you're peeling your cuticles. And then you got like kind of scabby hands, and you put your hand in a. Someone's like, "Oh, do you want one of my salt and vinegar discos?" And you put your hand in there, you're like, I feel you. This is what I think you should do. I think you should make, get a mannequin, okay, and get a candle making set, right? Get a mannequin's hand and a candle making set. And have you ever seen those videos where someone like dips their hand in wax like 100 times? Do that with a mannequin hand, okay? Or do you know what? On the go, right? Get a mannequin's finger, okay? Dip it in 100 times in wax, so it has 100 layers that have dried, okay? And see, like that, okay? I'm for people who aren't watching the video, I'm kind of poking down like that, right? Then attach put a little screw in the bottom of the mannequin's finger, attach a keyring to it, keep it on your keys. Whenever you feel the urge to pick at your finger, take out this wax finger and peel off another layer. Okay, peel off another layer of that. And what you should also do then is get a manicure, right? French tip, shellac, right? And look at your hands and be like, they're fucking stunning hands. And you know what? The best way, I found that if you can't quite get to self-love, right? Because you should love your hands, okay? Love your hands, and they're your fucking hands. Do you know the first time I smoked weed, I just kept looking at my hands, thinking, this is fucking amazing. I love my hands, right? And this is for any nail biters as well. Nail biters were also on to me about this, all right? I'll maybe think of something else you could chew on with your nail, but love your hands, okay? And if you can't quite get to self-love, this is what I found. If you can't quite get to self-love, look down on other people, right? Try and look for other people's stupid hands. Look at Donald Trump's hands and laugh at them, right? Look at a pig with three little hooves, right? 3 little toe hooves. Or is it 2? I think it's 2 and a little back one, right? And laugh at them. I think you would love to be picking up those truffles. But you can't because your stupid fucking hands. Birds don't even have hands. If you can't quite get to self-love, being smug privately is a great first step. So be smug and just think of your hands of how much better they are than most people's hands. And if you include monkeys, you know what I mean, which I do. Monkeys are people as well. There's, 9 billion people, 8 billion people in the world, right? Maybe that's, 20 billion with all the things that have hands. Your hands are in the top 2 billion of those, okay? So love them, respect them, okay? And if it's really compulsive, just put little mittens on, Or like put them in like, those things that rich Russian women have, those little hand warmers. Keep them in there, So a couple of things you can do there. Peel your little wax lad, right? But also just love your hands, and if you can't quite love them, be smug about them. Now, and nail biters, right? Don't wash your hands. don't wash your hands ever. Ever. Okay? If it's valuable to you, you'll do it. Don't wash your hands. And then try and remember all the things that you touch. Everything's very dirty. Everything's very dirty. What was the last time you did a proper antiseptic wipe on your phone, right? That's dirtier than your hands, right? Everything's very dirty, okay, including your hands. And if you go through a couple of days without washing your hands, even when you're showering, do it with your elbows, right? Wash your hair with your elbows. Because as soon as they start getting piggity, you'd be like, I can't put that shit in my mouth, So go without washing your hands for 2 months, okay? I know this is crazy, but just don't wash them for 2 months and let everything accrue, and do activities with your hands, play with mala, play with kinetic sand, do all these things, and never wash your hands, and we'll see if you keep biting them, okay? Alternatively, if maybe just eat pistachios, it's kind of like biting your nails. Eat a big bowl of pistachios all the time. If ever you want to bite your nails, go into the cupboard and get a big bowl of pistachios. There you are. All right, next here. Extreme procrastination. Extreme. A lot of people saying procrastination, okay? What I have come to realize is procrastination is a weird one, right? Because you can view it as like a thing, right? That you procrastinate, but it kind of isn't really a thing, right? It's essentially just there are so many different reasons for why you might not want to do something, okay? And viewing them all under the procrastination banner, or worse, considering yourself a procrastinator, and God, you're not a procrastinator. No one's a procrastinator, okay? There are loads of different reasons why you wouldn't want to do something, right? It could be that it's an essay in something you learned in college that you weren't fucking arsed even listening to, and then you have to write an essay about it. How would you be motivated to do that, right? But the real kicker, though, is the time when, like, you find yourself, quote unquote, procrastinating something that you really want to do, right? Say if it is like, you're a graphic designer and someone messages you and they're like, hey, can you do my album art? And you really want to do it, but for some reason you can't find yourself starting, right? That's also just chalked down to experience. You have not yet accrued the hours of experience for that to come easy for you to start, right? And usually the best thing to do is just start and get it wrong and to do it shit, So if you're looking to I'm just going to do it shit first, right? So it'll be shit first is a good way of just starting, right? And then you just can come back and look at the shit work that you did and be like, this fucking mug didn't know what he was doing. That's the best thing. That's a part of your brain that it really, powers up, where you have to actually go back and look at something and be like, this guy had no fucking clue what he was doing, That seems easy to be, smug about your old work, right? But anyway, the worst thing is for people to view themselves as procrastinators, because there's no such thing. There's so many different reasons why you might not want to do something. Usually the main reason is that it is just not the most valuable thing to you in that moment to do. It might be having a wank. It might be going on YouTube, because that is the most valuable thing to you at that time, because you're kind of trying to feed this internal, emotive receptor to feel comfort, right? But if you just take a second and look at yourself, like you'd look at your stunning hands, and look at yourself like you are a fucking graphic designer, So what does a graphic designer do? They just start doing it. You know what I mean? It's harder to see the long game, and the more you do it, the less you will see it as procrastination, But the worst thing you could do is view yourself as a procrastinator. You're not a procrastinator, and you're not lazy. I am sure there are things that you would, if there was tickets for like a gig you really wanted to get, you would figure out a way of getting those tickets. You know what I mean? Or whatever. If there's something that you buy, there's a Funko Pop that you're into watching or getting, whatever. Why did I say watching? If there's a Funko Pop that's like a collector's item, or whatever it is, the thing that you really like, whether it's YouTube. If there's a new YouTube thing that pops up that you subscribe to, you'll find a way of getting to see that as quick as possible. You know what I mean? So if there's something you're meant to be doing that you're not doing, try and find an easier way of presenting it to you. Try and find an easier way of getting started with it. Maybe the environment that you're in is the environment where normally you would be watching YouTube and procrastinating, right? So maybe go to a different environment if you have to do that task. Respect the fact that you need to maybe go in there with some fucking sage and sage that place, right? And, detox that place. Maybe you have to go into like a library and do the thing that you have to do, Go to a different area, a different place to do the task, to do something you'd never done before, you have to do something you've never done before. Is that what I'm saying? To get something you don't have, you have to do something you've never done before. Is that the quote? Yeah. To achieve goals you've never achieved before, you have to start doing things you've never done before, right? So you might have to go to somewhere you've not been. You know, you have to there has to be a bit of a change, right? If you're not going to do it lying in bed. You know what I mean? And make it as easy and palatable. If there's distractions, cut them out. Easy to say. You know, limit YouTube on browser. You know, maybe even allocate YouTube time in your lunch break of when you're going to look at a YouTube video. You know, and then also when you actually get to the place to do the thing. If it's procrastinating like you need to do it, this was a great procrastination tool. And I don't believe procrastination exists because it doesn't, but this was in The Power of Habit. No, it was in Atomic Habits. Is like if it's the gym, leave your clothes out to go for the gym, packed in the gym bag at the door ahead of time. If it's eating well, do overnight oats, have it there ready for you in the morning, you know? Things that you can do if the actual getting started part is hard, try and find ways for you to jump in the middle. Prepare enough so you can just jump in the middle. And if it's having to write something, just go to the library, get a little Pomodoro timer, right? And then just set it to 20 minutes. Don't look at that now, it's 20 minutes. Only work for 20 minutes, you know? And actually this is the really annoying thing about getting shit done, right? Is when you actually do work for 20 minutes uninterrupted, you will actually realize you've done more in that 20 minutes than you've done your entire day. And that's a scary prospect because the reality of that is that you're actually been dossing the whole time, which is fine. But if you only do 3 20-minute stints, that actually might be more than a day and a half's work, right? For whatever task it might be. And that's scary to realize because you're like, oh my God, if that is the case, then I really have been dossing. But it's fine. Everyone dosses. Everyone's fucking taking the piss, you know? So, bit of an all over the place answer there, but you are not lazy and you are not a procrastinator. Here's another one. Whenever I play video games, I chew my tongue. Mostly if it's a boss fight or a difficult enemy. I'm sure Elden Ring is wearing your tongue out like it's a dishwashing young one at a Gale Talk. I'd say your tongue is in bits if you're playing Elden Ring, right? Here's what you do, right? Again, it's all about taking it, empowering yourself with it. This is what you do, right? You're a gamer and you're a fucking good gamer, right? But you want to be protecting that tongue. So this is what you do. When you're going into this, get the kind of idea that you're going to a boss battle. You're going into the fucking zone for these boss battles, right? You're chewing your tongue. Get a custom mouth guard online. Go on Etsy, see if you can get it, right? And put like your gamer tag on it, right? King Cunt or whatever it is, right? Something legendary like that. You know, savage, right? And when you're about to go into a boss fight, take that mouth guard out and put it in. And it'll be a mindset change that you're actually going into battle, proper battle, right? You might even find yourself to be a better gamer, right? And you're protecting that little tongue, all right? You're chewing on a thing, right? You're not going to be chewing your tongue that way, and you can bite hard into that mouth guard while also looking like a fucking savage with your gamer tag on it. I think that's a really good idea. I'm a big fan of that. A lot of people vaping quite a lot. Hard on the vapes, vaping while on the sauce. Vaping while on the sauce is a hard one. I've not been able to figure it out, right? And for some reason, Terry's got a thing with smoking anyway. Doesn't really like me smoking, and she doesn't really like me vaping. You know, I've not gotten into the vape thing, and I just know, right? So that was an example of when I could have turned left out of the grannies to not go to McDonald's. I just turned left on the vape trend because I know, Jesus Christ, you're sucking on fucking watermelon. How amazing is that? Look, it is tough, and I haven't figured out a way of doing it. You know, I'm desperate for fags sometimes on the pints. Only though when I'm around people who also smoke. So if it's possible, do you know anyone else who wants to get off it? Because if you can get in a little crew there and get off of it together, that could be handy. Or agree to get off it with the other people, because I only find I vape or I smoke when other people are smoking, right? So to treat yourself with your other vaping pals, right? Go to like a hookah bar and like make a night of it. Make a night going on the hookah. And then like don't bring the vape. Know that you're going there to get on the hookah, right? And you know, do it in the kind of old-fashioned way, you know, without batteries, you know, and do it with a pal. Or just a vape, man. Just do whatever you fucking want as well. Okay, I'll do two more. Spiraling first thing in the morning. Okay, look, that's tough. That's tough. Here's a little tip for you, right? Don't make any decisions in bed. Do not make any decisions in bed, right? Don't make any decision about what your day is going to be while you're in the bed. So while you're in the bed, do bed stuff. Only stuff that's going on in the bed. Do bed stuff, huh? Don't plan on whether you're going to call in sick. Don't plan on whether of what your mood actually is, right? Bed's a fuck. You want to be liars. Literally. That's why you lie down in the bed, because you're lying to yourself, right? The bed is the biggest liar. It must be something about having lay horizontal for a while. All the blood isn't in your head yet, right? So you can't trust the things that your bed head is saying. So you have to get upright and away from the bed before you can make any decision about even what mood you're in. Or even if you are smiling, you got to get up and get out of bed, right? After that, that's outside my wheelhouse, Ned, to be perfectly honest. You know, I don't know the whole caliber or the whole scope of your spiraling, you know, or what that entirely means. But know that the voice is like a loser. Like that person, if you can try and, I mean, this is Brezzy's thing, is his voice that's telling you. Like, try and just find the thing that's telling you this thing, right? And just objectively listen to it, right? And don't, his is Jeffrey, mine is Gary, all right? And actually find the voice that is telling you that you're not good or whatever, that you're in a rut or is comparing to everyone else or whatever it might be telling you, right? And picture that voice, right? As they're not talking directly in your ear because they can sound very loud. Try and just listen to the voice, but identify the voice as if like they're in a cinema and they're talking and they're not supposed to be talking. That you're there on the screen and you're actually watching the movie. And what the movie is you just getting up, doing your stuff. Is eating your breakfast, getting dressed, getting ready for work and going out. And they're just a small voice watching this movie. And then picture all the other people looking at that voice, being like, shut the fuck up over there. You know? And like in isolation. Do you know what I mean? Everyone else is having a good time. Everyone else is watching your show. Everyone else is just watching you have breakfast. Everyone actually thinks that's a fucking great breakfast that you made. Everyone else thinks, fair fucks you for getting out of bed. Everyone else in your head is saying to you, look at you getting ready. But they're actually just sitting there quietly watching the flick. All right? This one's just piping up. So just think about this person and just let them talk, right? Because it's not going to ruin. People love this flick, right? And one person piping up is not going to ruin the flick for the rest of them. And eventually when they realize that no one else is actually enjoying them, heckle this movie. Because it's a movie. And they're just heckling this movie. It's like that time I saw someone throw a chair at a screener of Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, because they didn't like Gollum planning to kill the hobbits. They fucked a chair at the screen, right? He was looking for a reaction. This guy's looking for a reaction, or girl, okay? So you're there in the cinema. Everyone else is just watching the flick, just trying to ignore this guy, but they can hear him, right? And getting on with it. But just focus on the flick, right? The breakfast. They think you look great. You look in the mirror, they think you look stunning. They're watching this with their mouth like, wow. And this fella's just having fucking whatever. He'll eventually pipe down, or security will take him out. But just let him sit there, all right? So that's what you can do. If you're spiraling out of control. Jesus Christ, if you're actually spiraling, get onto someone. But look, thanks very much for listening. Hopefully a habit breaker broken your habits, and thank God I've been able to live vicariously through you. I'm going to go back to, fucking not being able to even find a sock now and getting sick on my legs. Thank you for listening. Big thanks to Now, the sponsor. And also, if you like the pod, you want to support the pod, do so over on patreon.com/Tony Cantwell, where you can get an extra episode every single week. I recently reviewed the first 2 episodes of MILF Manor there. I know people like my Love is Blind commentary, and when I reviewed those dating shows, well, I did this one MILF Manor over on the Patreon, so you can check that out. I had a lot of fun watching it. There's also videos every single week like this. When I can. They're most of the time they're videos. So you can watch them over on the Patreon. And also, whenever I put up any gigs, which I will be announcing hopefully a few, including a few Eurovision ones, Early Bird gets the worm and Early Birds get the tickets on the Patreon over there as well. So look, thanks very much for listening. All the best. Bye-bye.
It's Tony Cantwell.